So maybe I should start once we are all live. Hello and welcome to everybody who has chosen to be with us on this very special day to our first bi-country seminar, if you may call it this, intended for audiences in both Serbia and Bulgaria. With this very short introduction, I pass the floor over to Zoran.
Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. Thanks a lot. And well, first of all, I would like to thank to all guys who made participation and registration for this today webinar. First of all, I would like to say to you a good day, and I'm hoping that you will have a great time today with us. I suppose we will wait maybe a few minutes more just to wait to all our colleagues, customers, and friends who will enroll to this webinar. But in a meantime, I can just make maybe a short introduction what we're gonna see today and what you're gonna hear today from our side. The main topic, which is really hot topic in this area, is secure journey to cloud with Microsoft 365. How to develop a transition map. So we are old and one of the biggest Microsoft partner and advisor. So we want today want to help to you to figure how you can improve your productivity and satisfaction, and by the end how you can make migration to cloud with a lot of benefits without risk. The main topic which will be covered today is split it on the several levels or several main topics. It is all story what is about the 365 Microsoft 365. We will cover the security concern. We will also cover the migration plan. We will cover a little bit about adoption and change management, and of course we will by the end cover how not to fail to the cloud project. For this whole topic and agenda, we will have today the great speakers. We will have my colleagues Martin Semjan from the Software One, Microsoft Solution Sales Specialist from Software One Slovakia. We will have Mr. Dino Kovacevic, who is Service Success Manager, Software One, Central and Eastern Europe. Hello, Dino. We will have Stoyan Lilov, who is a Business Developer Manager from Software One Bulgaria. Hello, Stoyan.
Hello, Zoran.
Hello. And from my side, I'm Zoran Janovac. I'm country leader for the Serbia. In this moment, I also would like to mention our two beautiful ladies who are supporting us and made this webinar real. Victoria from marketing department of the Software One, and also beautiful colleagues Gergana from Marketing, our marketing partners. Yes. I think that we maybe can start with some general information on the beginning about our company, Software One. We have 8,000 employees. We have more than 19 premises, and we are covering 148 countries, and we are present currently in all continents. We have really amazing customer list with more than 65,000 customer. Most of them are also the global customers. As I mentioned, we are the one of the two biggest Microsoft partner on the world. So this means that we are first one if we want to see the LSP revenue with 34%, and also we are the first one on the Azure consumption selling. What is very interesting with the Software One globally is that we have a lot of a lot of acquisition, and in the latest period we bought of lot of companies with a different portfolio. What is unique with the Software One globally? We have our registered products and services, starting for the Pura Cloud, which made, I can say, the small revolution in as a dashboards for managing cloud consumption and on-premise license. And also we have a lot of our registered services. I would just like to mention the simple services and a lot of other services that you can see on this slide. But of course we can go deeply maybe on some your different interest later. Takođe, ovu priliku hoću da iskoristim da pozdravim sve naše prijatelje, korisnike i kolege koji nas prate sada uživo iz Srbije. Nadam se da će vam ova prezentacija danas biti vrlo zanimljiva i ono što je za vas u principu najvažnije u današnjoj prezentaciji, odnosno webinaru, jeste da saznate kako da bez ikakvih rizika uđete u sam proces cloud migracije i kako da ostvarite najbolje benefite. Also, Stoyan, maybe from the Bulgarian customer, some few words from your side.
Wow, Zoran, this was great. You sound like a late night DJ.
Yeah.
I'm afraid I couldn't do it exactly like you, but I'll do my best. Добре дошли на всички, които присъстват на вебинара от българска страна. Радваме се много да ви приветстваме и надяваме се, че съдържанието, което ще се опитаме да изложим пред вас в забавна и едновременно образователна форма, ще ви хареса. Ако имате въпроси или мнения, ще се радваме да ги получим в чата или след това на официалните контакти на Software One България. Благодаря.
Thanks a lot, Stoyan. So also it is planned that this webinar will be the active. So any question you can put on the messaging chat. Any other question, everything what you like to maybe as addition know, please ask us. I now will give stage to my colleagues.
Okay.
Okay, hello everybody. Thank you for such a great introduction. I'm Martin Semjan, I'm from Slovakia, and today I'm going to be representing fictional customers. I'm going to be in the shoes of a customer who is thinking about moving to cloud. And the guys from Software One, I know them for a very long time. Now I am in the shoes. So guys, welcome and thank you. Thank you for your time, and thank you for sending me these slides in advance. And you hit me at the right time and right mindset. So now, as a CIO of this company, I'm thinking about how to move to cloud, because it's a common trend. Everybody's talking about moving to cloud. We as a company, we are not that big, but we really want to be much more efficient and much more secure. And I know something about Office 365, but you sent me some slides about Microsoft 365, so I have no clue what it is all about. So we will use these slides as a guideline for today's discussion. So maybe if you can briefly explain what is this M365 all about. I just know the Office 365, some basic principles, what it contains, but what's the difference?
Okay, Martin. I would like to say that you are very much welcome and that probably you've come to the right place. We would be happy to walk you through what we think is important to know, not only about the ecosystem and the way it functions, but for the best ways in which it could be made to work in favor of your business and complement your success and manageability. So you probably know you have heard about Office 365 and probably you're using it.
Not yet, but we are thinking about it. I know it from my personal life. I know it's like an Office in the cloud in some subscription model, and that's basically the whole information that I got.
Yes, you can call it like that. You can also call it in more colloquial terms, like Office 365 is Office on steroids because it runs in the cloud and it's always up to date. You're always using the last version. And also the apps that you probably used since you were a kid, they are called the same, but in a way they have changed because in the 365 environment, they are made to work together and actually
Hmm.
complement each other. Each of these, let's say, uh, mundane office apps like Outlook, Excel, Word is contains a much better degree of integration with dedicated audience, with Teams integration, with special communication channels, and improved productivity features. But that's not all. The system of Microsoft 365 actually consists of three parts. The second part is enterprise mobility and security, which is where the fun starts because, for most important businesses, security, especially nowadays, is probably the most important thing.
Also
All
for
your
us.
data, yeah, for
Hmm.
you, of course, for everybody, all your data needs to be protected and it needs to be protected well. You have to have internal controls, um, perfect manageability of all your resources, and you have all the usable scenarios of information sharing from external parties,
Hmm.
and also all your rules, firewall rules, and email protection, and document and phishing document protection that concern documents that are sent to your organization. Enterprise
Hmm.
mobility and security does exactly that by using various security features, which I hope to discuss later on in more detail.
Yeah.
It provides the security you need not only on your, let's say, main devices like servers, workstation, and so on, but also to other mobile devices, both
Hmm.
company owned and uh, employee owned, and allows for safe and secure use of the bring your own device policy.
That's cool. Hmm.
The third part, of course, is probably the one you expected. It's again the same old Windows that we know since the 80s, only in this specific ecosystem and environment, it is made to use in a much more enterprise and corporate friendlier way by allowing for additional manageability of updates, automatic updates, always using the best and latest version of the software, and allowing for complete control over your operating system's environment, including conditional access for apps and users and employees, and
Hmm.
actually complements the other two parts of this environment in a way that is indispensable because if you just transfer the two parts of Microsoft 365 without having the operating system that supports all those features, it doesn't work in such a unison.
Hmm. So it looks like a Microsoft environment all in one. Everything's included for like the whole company. Okay, sounds very interesting. So let's discuss it in a more detail. So as I told you, I'm thinking about at least some pilot to try, uh,
Mhm.
but I really don't know how to start. What's the like proposed way? What to think about at the beginning of such projects? Because I, I, if we will decide, and I'm thinking, really thinking about the moving, if we will decide to go that way, it's going to be a huge change for our company. So I really need to be, that project needs to be successful. So if you can somehow help me to understand from your past experience how to proceed, what to take care of at the beginning of the project, and how to handle the whole change of our IT environment.
Okay, I'd love to do that by starting with a very simple example from everyday life. Actually, it was from yesterday, and the concrete life in the specific life concerned is mine. As you know, most common sense changes involve planning, testing, execution. That's
Yep.
easier said than done. And by saying that it's a big step for you, I mean that sometimes big potential failures can be triggered by the very small details.
Yeah.
For
Mhm.
example, the case I'm referring to yesterday, we were supposed to play tennis with a friend of mine who came to the court all prepared in the latest top gear, shoes, everything, but forgot his racket.
Hmm.
So, coming to that, I would like to say that most common sense scenarios that you would use actually involved simple things, but on the other hand, not so simple things. And once you forget them or skip a step, it is likely to produce undesired consequences. For
This
example,
is
you
not like.
need to know, yeah, you need to know why you're moving to M365, how can you move, where exactly you want to land, and how. This is, of course, easier said than done, but it actually requires a separate project, which would require first a very good study of your resources, what you're
Mhm.
using, what you have, what you need to protect, what you need to um, obtain as an improvement in productivity and usability in the future.
Mhm.
Prepare for the compromises between costs and benefits, and work very hard on providing a roadmap for successful migration. Of course, things like that come naturally one after another. And once you get there, you have to think before you get there on what are the things you are obliged by governmental regulation and by common business sense to achieve. Hence, we have the governance rules, which are deeply implanted in the M365 uh,
Wow. Okay.
environment. And you also have the ability to configure custom-made policies for all your users, for your devices, for the security of your data, and the continuous operations of your enterprise. Why I'm saying that? It's actually a lot to take in, especially for a client without dedicated IT resources and without guys with experience that have
Mhm.
done it before. Because we as a partners, we have a database of several projects which we have completed already, both in our territories, I mean Serbia and
Mhm.
Bulgaria. We know the benchmark for such projects, and based on the initial brief received and the outcome expected from us, we can provide corporate standards and we can provide benchmark and baseline methods recommended and audited by Microsoft. So the client would not have, you in that case, would not have to invent the wheel
Cool.
and can use all of our experience in
Perfect.
the process. Of
Mhm.
course, if you're working with a corporate giant like Software One, you have the benefit of our professional indemnity insurance policy, which covers us in case of negligence up to 20 million. It's much better if you use the garage business next door, who is run by students in the technical university who think they can do the same thing. But in case of a failure, they will not be liable for anything else. That probably tell you we are sorry, we go much, much, much way beyond that.
Okay.
And
Sounds
once we are
interesting.
done,
Yeah.
yes,
Sorry.
when we are done, we can also help you with the um, maintaining of the desired result by providing user adoption, change management techniques, and of course, the support available as a service and as a standalone ticket-based service from us.
Wow, sounds interesting and very complex. So let's discuss it in a more detailed way. As you send me those slides, I can see something like productivity and security advisory. Sounds very interesting, and now I know that it's very important to properly go through the analysis phase to properly prepare the project. So is this something that you can provide me to help me to understand like what can be benefit for my company from this technology, from this very complex platform, because it's not cheap. So really like to embrace it to the full extent, and we really like to. That's my plan to to use it in full, like as I said, extent, and to use all the features that are contained in there. So if you can somehow help me to understand how should I start with it, how to know myself better, what can be benefit from M365 to my company. It shouldn't be just about those technical details, but you mentioned that the user adoption, let's talk about it later. It seems to be very important part. So if you can somehow describe what is your proposal in here.
Yes, Martin, thanks for asking. Basically, the change is so big that in
Yeah,
our client
somewhat I'm afraid.
negotiations, moving to M365 is considered as an entirely new environment and entirely new
Yes.
steps.
Mhm.
So one of our clients to which I approached with this
Mhm.
suggestion, even after considering all the aspects of it, even asked me, wow, this seems a lot and we've paid a lot for our on-prem licenses. Are we going to get discounts from, or are we going to get a refund from Microsoft for all our expenses up to
Yeah,
now
good
if we move
question.
to M365? Yeah.
Mhm.
Of course, the answer was no, but you shouldn't think about your on-prem experience as being completely useless. It contains valuable resources, valuable information, which needs to be properly analyzed, moved to the cloud, secured, and used there to assure continuity in a new and better environment. So, in case what you have done so far is made to work for you in a much better, more productive, more communicative ways by the new systems. So, we start the first base, as in the first step, as I said, is analysis of whatever it is you are having,
Mhm.
the ways that your business functions. It's like process mapping, which is what the big integrators do. Only for Office 365, it's mostly automated and actually much better structured than, for example, a process of description, which is supposed to service an SAP or a bigger installation. We studied the way documents are managed in your organization, what security
Mhm.
tools are used, can they be supplemented or can they be canceled in favor of already available tools in M365 if you're using third-party apps. We
A
can
lot.
also, yeah, but you can, yeah, sure. We can also run basic security score, which is a free feature available from Microsoft that will produce the desired input to benchmark what it is you are trying to achieve. And of course, we always have to provide with compliance. There is a free service from Microsoft called Compliance Center, which can
Mhm.
make your company compliant with whatever the government registration in your territory and in your sector of business are. And then after we do that, don't worry, it's not going to take long. We have done it before. We know how it's done. We're not going to bore you with an army of consultants invading your premises for a week and using due diligence rooms and so on. So we move to designing the new scenarios by agreeing on what type of users we will have, what kind of an access
Mhm.
would be required, allowing only that much access that is necessary, uh, laying out information protection policies and device protection policies. And then we begin, and only then, while we are satisfied with it, and once this has been presented and approved by management, we move to the technical readiness, which would involve specific
Uh-huh.
operations involving moving your resources to the cloud in 100% cloud managed or a hybrid environment. Of course, starting with the most important resources, definitely this should be exchange in my mind, and your mail
Mhm.
resources, because um, as you know, all large corporations and enterprises, they run on email more than they run on petrol. So it should be important and taken quite well, executed quite well. Then we decide the solution, which involves our suggested scenarios, our full cost analysis with proposed use of licenses, because Microsoft licensing can be tricky. If you go and just buy the most expensive licenses, you are likely to end up running an inefficient system. by providing our expertise, which has been gathered for the last 25 years in working as a Microsoft partner. We can guarantee that we can project a good usability scenario and optimization of your licenses with our consulting services so that you
Mhm.
end up paying exactly for what you will be using.
Great, you nailed it. I'm running on emails and coffee, and I would love to have such analysis, including that cost efficiency, because it's not going to be cheap, and I really want to fully utilize it. So thank you for that. We will definitely do that part together to map our processes to M365 solutions to have the better insight how to proceed. So I love it. So maybe now I'm a little bit less concerned about moving to the cloud. So I'm counting on you guys that you will help me. But how we can start? Are there any technical prerequisites? What to take care from technical point of view? Because there are two parts. Yeah, we will handle the technical part and the business side. So
Yeah.
from technical part, I'm responsible for running our IT environment, and we really cannot afford any outages, any problems during the actual migration. So how to start? What to do?
Definitely. We are not going to get too technical here because
No,
otherwise, yeah,
let's leave it for another discussion.
yeah,
Those
yeah,
nasty
yeah. We're
technical
going to
details.
be needing a lot, a lot of pillows for our listeners not to
Mhm.
fall
No?
asleep. But let us say that the most important things need to be taken care of. As you know, identity and access management is the topic of the day, probably of the
Yeah,
century.
for us, yeah.
Most of the hacker attacks, most of the corporate failures, phishing scams, ransomware, and so on, they always starts with identity and access management. Okay, one thing is social engineering, we cannot do anything about, but for everything else, there's identity management and Active Directory synchronization, which we can run for you in a secure environment, both in hybrid or 100% uh, cloud environment.
Mhm.
And of course, there's the security of your email configuration. We would definitely propose for your case to start with a hybrid configuration, leaving your on-prem resources functional while moving and
Mhm.
synchronizing
Makes
stuff
sense, yeah.
to the cloud. And later on, based and only and if you are sure with the outcome and the desired functionality, we can get rid of the on-prem resource when we consider this to be safe.
That's my long-term plan.
Yeah, as for user scenarios, it's not going to be that hard basically because most corporations have very well designed organizational charts with
Mhm.
user privileges and roles. So we can just apply this organization chart to the specific technical language that M365 uses in environment.
Mhm.
And you will end up receiving a replicated copy of your org chart, only even better because in that way you will know which user is supposed to do what and when.
Wow.
Of course, you would ask us how to do this. The deployment of Office apps seems simple because if you are at home, you download it from the Microsoft Surf. But for a company, even a small like
How
you, yeah, there are more
how
cost-effective
to,
ways. For
yeah,
example, yeah,
how to do it centrally? Yeah.
yeah, if you
Sorry.
want to do it centrally, we can do it just from a local machine of your server to save traffic, internet, and to
Mhm.
allow more manageability and control over whoever is downloading who, to avoid versioning problems and excessive use of bandwidth. So
Mhm.
we can discuss this on how to actually deploy this, but depending on the way your company prefers to work and the availability of support staff to help this process, we can either come up with 100% local solution or managed cloud solution where users are downloading from a specific
Mhm.
place.
Mhm.
And of
I
course,
got
the
it.
communication apps, which is after COVID, unfortunately, mostly what we see on our screens and on our desktops, they have to be properly configured and running across all of your communication channels. We take care of that. And the last but not least is setting rules and security firewalls for accessing contents by internal users. It works both ways, as well as for information received and for information sent. You can
Hmm.
use various type of user granting access to external articulation, from complete federation to one-time trust, and you can allow users to access content in your, for example, OneDrive environment using specific rules and allowing it for specific domains only. This way, it's guaranteed that your information stays protected and safe for you and your partners only.
Thank you for that. It's a very important topic for us. We'd like to be more open to external world and work efficiently with our partners and customers. So that's a very cool topic. I'm taking notes, and I'm gonna definitely ask some more questions. So just here's a slide about. I see it as maybe as a recap of those products that are contained in M365. So maybe is there anything that you want to highlight, because it seems to be quite complex, and I assume that we will cover it later. So if there's anything that will like
Yeah.
highlight.
I'm not gonna go through all of this here because
Mhm.
you know it. Office Apps for Enterprise is the new
Now I
name for
know.
what you already know. Don't have to be worried about it. Exchange and Calendar is the same old email, which is synonymous to
Hmm.
coffee as the main fuel engine of organizations. I
Hmm.
already talked about the identity and access management, so probably not so much, but it's a vital part of the systems. Device management is a thing that I would like to talk more about only at the later
Hmm.
stage, but it's
Okay.
very basic, very useful for you. And as far as information and compliance management is concerned, you have to know that this is basically not set in stone. It's dynamic because
Hmm.
regulations change, compliance has to be dynamic. Also, information protection is a variable thing. Sometimes one thing is confidential, sometimes not. So it can be analyzed, and those things can be dynamically configured in the system. So you don't have to
Hmm.
rely on things which are 100% predefined at the start of a project. But you can work on this later, and we can change this later, however, the environment changes.
Okay.
And of course, the same old boring file storage concern systems, but they are made to look and to run better. SharePoint
Hmm.
Online, you can configure websites and functionality for your users to perform automated tasks or to get most up-to-date information from the company. It is very easy and configured in much friendlier way. It's like working with HTML templates. So your support
Hmm.
staff and your IT department should be ready to provide your department. So even people in HR can do this too.
Wow.
Yeah, it's like working with a Word document. It's mostly involves low code procedures.
Hmm.
And for OneDrive, we need to discuss later on your needs because according to the license, there's different uh, OneDrive um, not capability. I was going to say uh,
Capacity.
capacity. Yeah, there's different OneDrive capacity, so you probably don't need the highest possible capacity, and we can optimize on usage depending on
Yeah.
license.
That's a very interesting topic. So let's cover it later. Maybe we
Yeah,
can skip this slide because you covered it already.
yeah.
Yeah, apps for enterprise. So now I can see that we are talking about the good old Word, Excel, and PowerPoint.
Yes.
Uh, just one thing, just one detail to that detail in here. You are saying that it's available also for mobile and online as a mobile and online app. What is that?
Yes, actually, you can access the beauty of the system is that first, most licenses would allow you to install this user license on up to 5 machines and
Hmm.
devices. And the second thing is you can also access all of your information content through a browser. So if you
Okay.
don't need some heavy workloads and heavy duty operations, running scripts in Excel or Visual Basic programs in
Hmm.
Excel, you can probably just be okay with just the online versions and get basic mobile work done in the Office system.
Okay, so basically, I can work from any device in the world or
Any
somewhere on
device in the
vacation.
world, anywhere in the world, yes.
Oh, okay, sounds good. But we will cover it later because my concern is about security. But I know that we will discuss it later. Uh, about email and calendar, as you probably know, we are running everything on prem. We are running the old. We are Exchange customer for many years now. Uh, just some highlights. What's the difference between running Exchange server, our main mail server, in our data center, and what's the difference between running that Exchange in the cloud? Is it just about like copy of our server somewhere to the cloud without any new features or any new benefits, or it's the same, or is it different, or how
Well, Martin,
was
this
it?
is the best part of the system and something I would rather discuss for as much time as you have available. It's actually quite easier than managing an offline Exchange server. If you would know, there's the question of
Mhm.
licensing and the updates. And updating an Exchange server, it's not so easy. It requires specific expertise. I'm not sure if you
Yeah.
have the right guides to do it.
Oh, we are struggling with that, and we have to update it like every 3 years or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. And my point is, those resources costly, and you use it only once in a while. You don't need to
And
pay
we,
for such expertise and so on. So once you
sorry,
move,
sorry, and we have to manage it, and we have to backup it. So
exactly,
we
you have to
we
manage
are.
and backup it. And with Exchange Online, the system,
Mhm.
you always use the most recent version. You
Well,
always rely on the latest update. It is entirely managed by Microsoft as a software as a service. You don't need to take care of the infrastructure. You
mhm.
don't require specific skills to handle this because it is done automatically in the cloud. So, in a nutshell, this is the best possible email solution for any business. Full stop. I mean, there's nothing else that can be said about it.
Okay. We don't have to take care about it from like administration point of view. That sounds good. Good. But we really have to have our email secure, and we are using some third-party products for that, for antivirus, for anti-spam. So how we can install those products into online environment? Is it possible? Is it necessary or not? Or what to do with it?
It can be possible, but definitely not necessary because most of the security comes built in. Using
Okay.
Microsoft protected protocols, you assure at all times that your email traffic is secure.
Hmm.
Not only that, it doesn't have to be secure only from threats coming from viruses, phishing scam, and so on, but it has to be adequately filtered and protected to provide the best protection for your information, like who has access to what, who can email what, who has shared what, and so on. This is visible, and you can configure it in a way that can provide the most secure environment for your operations.
Mm. Wow. And is it like we will rely on an online solution? Is it reliable? Is it what's the
Yeah.
we will depend on internet connectivity.
Yes, you
So
will depend on internet connectivity, but that used to be a bad thing, not anymore.
mhm,
Because right now, as you know, most office resources rely on Azure, which
mhm.
has a very high reliability of 6 nines, and it's
Wow.
practically unnoticeable in case of outages or failures. It may very well be that your resources will not be affected by any
Mhm.
such problems. So things have changed. I would rather trust an online service and a cloud solution than my on-premise resource because first it is expensive. You know what happens with the
Yeah.
prices
Yeah.
of
Mm,
electricity and so on. It requires
mm.
special guys I need to pay salaries to. And second, hardware is tricky. And replacing an Exchange server requires not only new hardware, but it requires new configuration, new
Storage.
updates, new skills. Although it's a lot more painful than keeping everything automatically done for you in the cloud. So I guess this is a no-brainer, Martin. I would definitely recommend you to stick to online solution only.
Sounds good, because now we have to take care about storage and backupping and all those third-party tools. And as you said, it's accessible from anywhere. So that's my concern. We discussed it. You described it at the beginning of our meeting that everything starts with identities. Yes, we like to protect ourselves as a company, our IP, our documents, our information. But now you are telling me about accessing my information, basically my internal IT environment from any device in the world. So how can I protect myself to not be attacked? Because I really want to give to my employees that kind of flexibility, to ability to work on the go, but how to protect myself, not just from identity point of view, but from a device point of view. You mentioned something like bring your own device, and this is something that we are thinking of, and we really like to provide to our employees the ability to work from their own personally owned devices. But it's I see this as a potential security threat or some kind of danger, because as you said, they can install those applications, they can log in from any device, but I really want to be protected against that kind of attacks, intentional or unintentional, doesn't matter.
Well, definitely, this is something Microsoft has thought about because, as you know, they have been serving largely the enterprise sector for the last 4 decades. So
Hmm.
they know exactly what's at stake and what needs to be taken care of. So by choosing M365 as an environment, you automatically subscribe yourself to the best possible security features in terms of device and content management.
Hmm.
It starts with an app called Intune, which provides mobile device management and mobile application management. And there can be basically two types of devices. One is fully managed company owned asset,
Hmm.
like a laptop that you provide to your employees.
Yeah.
And the other one can be a bring your own device, which is very flexible, very good save costs for small and medium sized businesses. You can allow that, but include application level management, meaning allowing your users to allow to access corporate content only through a secure applications.
Uh-huh.
So
Without
in that,
accessing their personal data, right? Because
yes, yes.
I see that as a concern that like IT will control my personally owned device and somebody will check my photos from my vacation. That's not true, right?
Not really,
Just
not
to be
really.
has to be sure.
Yeah, especially your photos, Martin. Nobody will touch them.
Cool.
But in a way, you can keep your personal data on the side, and using of secure applications allows that your content is only accessed in a secure way. Because,
Hmm.
for example, if it's not a managed device, you should not give full rights of access
I don't want
because
to.
all of your content is synchronized on 5 licenses and on every machine if you do that. So you should grant only application level control that is configurable. And you can also pre-configure that by using an even more handsome feature of M365 called autopilot. If you
What's that?
pre-configure autopilot in your account, you can just set the right credentials for every row in your company. So
Hmm.
whenever a company buys a laptop configured from authorized manufacturers with Windows and M365 credentials, and once your user logs in with the awarded credential, the autopilot will automatically load the exactly so much content as he is allowed to have or use, and that way you will be safe. All information protection and security policies will be applied to this machine automatically without you having to do anything at all.
Wow. Incredible. It takes a lot of time for us to properly configure a new laptop and to migrate all data and install all applications that are needed. So is it probably maybe my assumption is that hopefully it's like a role based because we have a different environment if we are maintaining different images for different positions, different roles for different departments in a company. So,
Exactly. It is role-based. Like I said, it concerns the user granularity of rights and
mhm.
credentials, and it assigns to each role specifically awarded by you exactly the same rights and the same, um, so to say, powers of execution as
Mhm.
needed. Not
Mhm.
less, not more.
So seems to be very, very secure and very
Yeah, it
easily to
is. It
manage.
is secure indeed. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So thank you for that. Let's go back. Let's come back to. Let's make a step back to that identity. Uh, I'm thinking out loud when when we are talking about bring your own device. Okay, we have the device protected, but what about the actual access to my environment? So because somebody can stole my password, somebody can pretend that I am me, that somebody else is me, and to use my password and to log in from some strange place, from strange device. I see something called conditional access, and it reminds me that probably this is the way how to solve this kind of suspicious logins. Is that true? Or
Yes.
okay, okay. So so that was my assumption,
So
because
yeah.
I want to prevent those cases where somebody is using the device from somebody is logging from unknown device. Maybe that can be an attack. Uh, you mentioned social engineering.
Yeah,
That's a very powerful hacking tool.
yeah,
Uh, if someone will steal my credentials, I want to be protected against those threats. So I see that you mentioned multi-factor authentication. This is
yes,
something that we are using as a third-party tool, but it's not like it's not a it's not very easy to use. So if it's integrated into the system, sounds good. And if it can
yes.
help me to protect myself against those suspicious logins, that would be even more great.
Yes, Martin, you're in luck because it has been designed and pre-built in all M365 scenarios. Multi-factor authentication, or MFA for short, is
Mhm,
indeed part of every M365 environment, and you can enable it free and automatically for all your users.
mhm,
Uh, that's a good case, for example, against social engineering because someone can steal your username and password, or you can tell it to them, but without having your device and your method of multi-factor or authentication, whether this be a password or one-time password or single code by SMS,
mhm.
he will not, or he or she, they will not be able to enter your account. And that is pre-configured and available in all M365 configuration plans. But actually, that's simple. Like you said, you already use it by way of a third app applications.
Mhm.
In this way, you probably won't have to use third-party applications. But the beauty of the system lies in the conditional access tool, which allows for setting predetermined security rules as to what type of machine, for example, if it's a managed and corporate owned device, can access this kind of access, can have rights to synchronize information on local drive. And if it's not a fully managed corporate device, then they can only use online content accessible by authorized applications, secure applications.
So
So
it means they,
conditional.
they can't download, for example, our internal content locally in
No,
this case.
no, no,
Oh, okay.
no. That's exactly the content can be downloaded locally and awarded only to users using managed corporate devices.
Mhm.
And once and after has been guaranteed and checked that this is secure by the automatic reporting tools in the system.
Very, very
And the
cool.
other thing is, of course, privileged access. This is something you have to be really careful about because you have to award only as much privileges as needed for the role, not more. Sometimes can be less because it's easy to respond to a ticket for someone who needs a credential rather than automatically award and then suffer the consequences.
Yeah.
So
Very
probably,
important topic. Yeah. And let's discuss it sometimes later with our
yeah,
security
okay.
guys. But in a nutshell, I get it. And it seems to be, yeah, really, really complex. So, Stoyan, thank you for such a huge pile of information. Uh, so we will definitely discuss it because we really want to have our environment as secure as possible. But I'm gonna involve our security guys into the conversation and our compliance colleagues to discuss it in a more detail because there are some regulations that really concern me. And let's discuss the like document management. This is something that I really want to solve for a company. Just to let you know, for now we are using server shares, and it's sometimes it can be a mess to find the right information. So you have a slide about files and content, and if there is something that can help me to better understand what kind of information that we have in our company to be much more efficient and quick in searching for information, because sometimes that information can be stored somewhere, not just in a document, but somewhere in an email. Someone can know information, and we are struggling sometimes to be really efficient, and we are looking for a document or I don't know, some agreement. Where we have to search for it on a local drives, and some of our colleagues, they're storing their documents on their devices, and we had some cases where the laptop was stolen or hard drive crashed, and we basically lost some crucial information. So I know, Dino, that you are expert in this area. So if you can help me somehow to deal with it, with this very complex topic about the whole document and information story, that would be great.
Of course, happy to jump in to help. I'm glad you had a good discussion with Stoyan. And as you mentioned, you have all the documents scattered all around. So here, a very good solution would be to store them in online storages, which Microsoft 365 enables. So you might be familiar with solutions like OneDrive and SharePoint Online, which are basically storing solutions. OneDrive on one hand is a very good thing where you can store something on your personal. It can be
Mhm.
it can be seen as a personal storage, while SharePoint Online can be seen as a company storage where everybody can access these documents.
Mhm.
And exactly as you mentioned, if you're losing content, if you're losing documents, if they're stored locally, we can teach your users first enable the SharePoint and then teach users to store them on this SharePoint where everybody can access. And I can also give you a very good analogy between OneDrive and SharePoint, where OneDrive you can think of it as drawers under your table, while SharePoint can be uh, file storage in your office, where you just
Mhm.
come and pick up stuff. Whoever has the key can access this document. So this is again a
So,
very important thing where
cool.
this access is
I,
security
I,
thing.
I, I like it. So in that case of SharePoint, everybody who who have the same has the same level of access, right?
Exactly,
So
exactly. Plus, the
cool.
good thing
Mhm.
here is that you can search for these documents. Before you said you're having problems finding those documents. So in both of these solutions, you have search install or implemented inside. So you can just search for a certain document, even if you know just keywords, and you can find it much faster.
So I will find it only by document name, or because I'm looking for an information that can be contained in somewhere inside of the document. That would be lovely to have that full text index.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You'll
okay,
you'll
so
have you'll have also this enabled for sure.
okay, cool. And so you mentioned OneDrive, and I see that's a personal storage. So I see that is like intended for my personal use. So, I really don't want to work just by myself, just me on a document, but we really like to share the content and work on the content together. But now we are struggling. You know that scenario that we are struggling with. We are sending the documents as attachments, and it's sometimes we are lost in in the flow that everybody's looking for the latest version, and oh, who has that document and who has what. So if I can, or we as a company can somehow use this technology for like internal sharing and to have that one single place for truth, as I call it, that would be lovely, because otherwise we will not be efficient.
Of course, that's a very common scenario that people are just there saving their documents on their own computers, and that's it. And not sharing, and then sending files all around, and we never know which is the right document, which is the final version. And that's exactly what OneDrive and SharePoint are solving as well. Because even if you store your document on your own OneDrive, you can always give access to one of your colleagues. Either that this can be a viewing access, so they can only view things. You can give them a commenting access where they can also comment on stuff that you wrote,
Uh-huh.
or you can give them as well editing rights, where you can enable them to edit the document together with you, and simultaneously you can work on the document, work in it, edit things at the same time. Plus,
At the same time, in real time.
in real time, exactly. And then you can always save, you can always have this at your own, in your own OneDrive, and you're in charge of the document. You can always revoke some access to one of your colleagues if you don't want them anymore to access this document.
Mm-hmm.
And in
Sounds.
this,
Yeah.
yeah, this is a really good solution. And on the other hand, if you want a couple of more people to access this, you can just put it to SharePoint or give them access as well, not necessarily editing with just one person. You can do this with multiple people.
And it's accessible from anywhere as my email, right? I see it
Exactly,
on your
exactly.
slide.
You can, yeah, whatever you have, whenever you want to access the latest version, you just go into your OneDrive or SharePoint and you access it from there.
Okay,
And
and what about the offline work? I see that you're mentioning it in here, because sometimes when I'm traveling, I'm on a plane, or I don't know, on a train. I don't have internet connectivity, but I'd like to work on my documents. Uh, and is it even possible? This is a cloud-based solution, so is it possible to work offline? Do I have to download that document and upload it again, or what's the scenario?
exactly, the beauty of it, very good thinking, and this is a very common scenario again. And the beauty of the whole thing is that all the files that are stored when you're online, they're simultaneously also on your computer. So when, even if you go online, you'll have the latest version, and you can work on this version on the go. If you said you're on the train, on the plane, wherever, you can work on it. And then later on, when you connect back to the internet, it will just synchronize with the version that you have on your OneDrive, SharePoint, and you'll have the latest version, and whoever has the access to it will also access the latest version that you were working on it when you were on the go.
Okay, because sometimes we are really in like a versioning hell, as I told you. Uh,
Exactly.
uh, we are running out of time, so let's be brief. I see some other unknown words that you have in your slides, like stream and power
Exactly.
automate. Just if you can briefly
Just
describe
exactly,
what
very
is.
briefly. These are very interesting things as well, which people might not utilize completely. Stream, you can imagine it like a company YouTube, while Power Automate, for example, you can automate some approval processes, for example, uh, things like this. You can do smaller and also larger automations.
Oh,
This
very
might be very
interesting.
interesting.
Our plan is to automate a lot of different like manual processes, as you mentioned, some approval process. So let's discuss it sometimes later in a more detail.
Definitely.
I'm taking notes that we need to really come back to that topic.
So this
And
definitely.
Teams, that is something that during COVID lockdowns we started to use this application, but from what I know about Teams, it's being like heavily propagated by Microsoft. So we used to use Skype for Business for a very long time, but now I know that it's being deprecated. That I think it's no longer supported. So we switched to Teams. But my concern is that we are not utilizing it fully. We're just using it as a direct replacement for Skype for Business. So only for like instant messaging, we are chatting, yeah, blah blah. And I'm very happy that we are using that for some more efficient communication, but and some audio and video meetings. But I know that it's far more advanced. And so if you can highlight some your favorite features, what to focus on, and how to think about deploying Teams, that would be lovely.
Of course, as you already successfully figured out that Teams can offer much more. As you said, you're used to Skype and you're also now using Teams a similar way. But while Skype is mainly or was mainly communication tool, Teams on the other hand can be much more as well communication, but it can be as well a collaboration tool. And instead of just instant messaging and audio and video conferencing, which also enables, it's a collaboration tool whereby bringing all the other apps that Microsoft offers that you will get in this M365, like Calendar, like Planner, or the Power Apps that we were mentioning before. You can bring all this under one roof in Teams and work with all these applications in there. That means accessing all the documents, seeing all the calendars, all the meetings, planning, working on projects, on tasks, moving tasks all around, and all the similar stuff that you can do inside there. So it's a much more powerful app than Skype was.
Oh, it seems to be really complex, and now I'm thinking about it maybe as a virtual workplace. Where can I integrate? We are using some different applications, some third-party tools. So if I can somehow integrate them in one consolidated application, that would be great, even from end user point of view, to work only in one or two application, and that's it. Yeah.
Exactly. You said digital. You said it really well. Teams can be viewed like as a digital workplace, and you can bring, as you said, all the third applications. So even if you're using something else for different processes and for different things, you can just bring this applications inside Teams as well, because Teams, Microsoft enables this through the third-party connections, and you can use all the data, all the information from other applications that you're using outside of Microsoft 365, outside of Microsoft environment. You can just bring them in and work on that data, on those documents inside Teams. Again, share everything with all your colleagues and so on.
So it seems to be like a light application integration platform. So very good topic that we need to discuss in the much deeper detail. Okay, so what else? What else to cover? Governance. You already, Stoyan already mentioned that. Let's recap. What is it all about? From my understanding, my point of view, governance is just it's a set of rules or policies based on common sense. So if you would like to somehow something to pinpoint, something to highlight by Stoyan or for Dino, just mention it, and maybe we will definitely we have to discuss it with our governance and security guys. Now I have the full picture, or much fuller picture than before. So yeah, if there is anything that you'd like to highlight, let's do it now. And I'm really interested in one particular slide that is after this one, and I check those slides in advance, so I will ask
Definitely.
some nasty questions.
Yeah, okay,
Yeah,
you came prepared.
yeah. So if there's anything that we can cover in this, let's discuss it. But I think yeah,
What I would just
yeah.
quickly add here is that with governance, we explained you what everything you can do with Microsoft 365, but here with implementation and governance, we try to help you to understand how to do all this stuff, certain things, and why are they important. For example, to give you also insights in rules, everything, what are certain rules, how we set them up, how we connect all everything, and so that it's in governance with everything.
Okay, we will
Sven, would you like
definitely
to
cover it.
uh,
Yeah, we will
later as
definitely
well?
cover it later. And this is my favorite slide from your presentation because, guys, I trust you, and I really trust that you can help me to migrate and to help me with the whole roadmap and the whole changeover organization. But that was the good part. What about the bad part? What can happen from your past experience? We really like to learn from mistakes of the others, and to be prepared, and to think about all aspects that can affect the success of such an important and very visible project. Because from my previous experience, our IT projects failed in the past because of like lack of resources. That's obvious. Lack of skills. We tried to do something and we failed. We were over budget, over schedule, and end users always perceived some new IT focused project as a, oh, IT they just did something new. They're providing some new tools, but what's in it for me? And there was always like resistance to change. We tried to change something, but our employees were like reluctant to it. There was some really resilience. So if you can help me with this very complex transition, that I will really appreciate.
Of course, if we, as you figure out from the slide already, there are things have projects fail, so this happens. It's not an uncommon thing. Things can happen like this way, but as you pointed out, change it's a very important. This is going to be a big change for users, and we have to mitigate somehow because they, as you said, they see it just as another IT project, but it's much more than this. It's with all that we are trying to achieve here is change the way they work, help them to work better, and how we can help you mitigate this is with one of also with one of our services, which is called adoption and change management, which we can
Mhm.
see in one of our next slides.
Okay.
And with this, we will try to help you. We'll try to ensure that users and all your employees survive this change, surviving quote, so that they will get used to it, to new things of working. So they will have all the skills, they will have the capacity, they won't be resisting change. They will know exactly where we are heading with this, all these changes that are happening. This
I really like to communicate why we are changing the environment, why we are investing money as a company in some modernization of our existing infrastructure, and I really like to provide some new, much more efficient and much more modern tools to be more competitive, more efficient as a company, and to attract young people to join our company, because I really like to provide them the latest and greatest work environment, IT environment. That's basically my goal. And you mentioned that adoption and change management. This is something that I never heard before about. So if you can somehow describe it to me, because now feel like it's a really important part of that IT migration or implementation project.
It is definitely probably not one of the most important, but probably the most important, I would say as well, because we can do all the changes and implement the latest technology, but without our end users, our employees, without taking advantage of these technologies and not using them at all, we didn't do much, or we can almost say we didn't do anything. Because why, as we can see here, why the change is important, it is because after all, people are using this technology, they will be the one using it every day, and they will make their work better with this technology. And with adoption and change management, we try to help you plan this whole adoption and make people access this new technology there is. We try to bring and build communication campaigns so that people are aware of all these changes, that these changes are coming. Also, in later stages, we help them train them. We help you train them as well. First, primarily, it's a very good thing that we have an ambassador. We can set up an ambassador program where we teach a certain people that are very skilled or that are a bit more skilled in this, and then they can be ambassadors and people who are helping your other employees along the way, and even later in later stages. And we can also help you set up learning campaigns in a way of gamification, as we have seen before. So this is a very good thing to use.
Sounds good, because yeah, I was afraid that I will have to tell them, or my team will have to explain why we're doing such a huge change, and we are really overloaded, that we are not the trainers, we cannot, we are not a marketing agency. So I'd like to prepare some communication. I can send as a CIO that email, okay, why we are doing it, but that's the only thing that I can somehow influence. So I'm gonna be the face of this project. So that's my personal concern and personal goal, is to have a very successful project. So that seems to be a very important and integral part, and I see this now as a people side of the project.
Exactly.
So yeah. Now you got me. Now I understand the full picture. Yeah, thank you, Dino. You opened
You're
my
welcome.
eyes in here.
You're welcome. I'm
Martin,
glad.
So
Martin,
yeah.
just one addition. What Dino said. The people or your employees are really crucial for the project, and most successful company, besides the good agenda of the strategy of the project, make a good plan how to involve in all parts employees, and
Mhm.
and this don't just raise your productivity of your company. This will also raise some other aspects like productivity and a lot of benefits of digital transformation and all other things. So
Mhm.
if you have a good plan for your employees, the risk will be really smaller.
No, guys, I'm now convinced that let's do it together, uh, and let's discuss some future steps. So thank you for your time, for a lot of information to digest. So I've been taking notes, so I will definitely come back to you with some detailed questions, and let's cover that security topic, the whole bring your own device topic, adoption and change management, and that core migration project. And I don't have to forget. I really can't forget about that initial analysis phase to be really prepared for such a huge change. So
Thank
thank
you,
you.
Martin. And you can
Thank you.
also involve your technical guys because the questions we are most happy about is deep technical questions. Because of course we don't have to answer them. We will transfer them to our technical guys who will prepare detail analysis and most competent opinion based on their engineering experience.
Perfect. Thank you for that. I cannot cover it all by myself, so I definitely involve my other colleagues responsible for those different topics. Thank you. Thank you very much. It was impressive. A lot of information. Yeah. Thank you. Good.
Thank you.
So,
I think that now be a good time for the any maybe question in the chat or something which could be interesting for our participant. If I don't get wrong.
and
Yes,
don't forget about the questionnaire.
we
Yeah.
would be happy to entertain all questions, whether they are in English, Serbian, or Bulgarian. Just
So please
don't
take your
stare
time
us,
and
hit
yeah,
us very hard here.
yeah. You can type your question on the message chat. So any concern, any question, any challenges, any thoughts that you want to share with us, you can do it without a problem, please.
Any topics to discuss sometimes in the future?
Yeah.
Because as a customer, I will definitely discuss some more topics.
And we really want to make this kind of event periodic and address other issues that are of interest for anyone that is part of the M365 environment. So be happy if you can suggest some future topics of reference for us.
So let's wait for a couple of minutes. Maybe
Yeah,
there will
yeah.
be some questions.
Yes, of course. And on the other hand, also we will be in the following period and time available on our emails, and so also the customers or possible customers can raise some question. Of course, we will also after this webinar. I would like kindly to all participants. We will send some questionnaire for the participant, and after that we can, when you fulfill this questionnaire, we can send to you the presentation and record the link. We just maybe want to a little bit know more about your current environment, and maybe this could be the tool that you can help to maybe think about some your possible challenges, about some your thoughts, and some other things, of course.
Well, talking about it, while we still wait for questions, I would like to touch on a subject that we forgot, or probably that I forgot to mention, is that if there are any clients potentially interested in joining the M365 world, we have special offers, both supported from us and from Microsoft, which allow free credits, resources, and budgets for proof of concepts. And we can be happy to share those details with whoever is interested.
Yeah, we got the one question. SharePoint online, what function will be there, like old SharePoint?
Oh, I can cover that. I don't know what versions are we comparing, but the SharePoint Online is always the up to date. And from my point of view, what I see as a cool feature that, for example, you can build a communication or two types of sites. Communication site, which is basically like public website where you can just post information, and you have a designer available. A very powerful tool is what you see is what you get. So you can arrange your internal sites of intranet, you can build it on SharePoint, and then is a communication site where all those functionalities that we mentioned are available, like collaboration, team sites. You can integrate some different applications in one consolidated dashboard. For example, you can put some I don't know, some dashboards, some BI reports into that page, and so that's two ways how to work with SharePoint: communication, or one-way communication to your audience, to your employees, for example, and the other one is a collaboration site where you can work together. But I don't know if there is any like more specific question about what kind of functionality are you looking for. Just send us an email, and we will definitely help you with that. If there is anything like really specific, what to tell about SharePoint.
Yeah, Martin, I got one question. Martin, one question on my Viber, and it's the colleagues are asking about maybe some more description of our support for the migration of the end user. What we are offering to them.
Okay, I can cover also that, but there is a additional point. Yeah, maybe I know what the question is. SharePoint is a very complex platform, but don't forget that in case of running SharePoint online, there is also like not disadvantage, but there are some limitations. If you are used to use SharePoint for everything with a lot of customization, some of those customizations are not possible in that online world, because you have access only to management of the environment, but you cannot change that like underlying infrastructure. So you have to carefully think about how to move your existing custom applications built on SharePoint. But there is another component of 365 world, and briefly mentioned that, and it's called Power Platform or Power Apps. Power Platform is a whole concept, and you can build your own application with very low knowledge of coding. It's really a low code or almost no code platform, and you can build from some predefined Lego bricks, Lego blocks, some custom applications, and those applications can be built on top of SharePoint. So you can read some data from SharePoint or post some information to your SharePoint. Maybe that somehow help to better understand the concept. But as I said, it's not possible to somehow customize in a like a really detailed way. It's not possible to customize SharePoint online. And back to the question about how we can support your endpoint migration. So you probably mean migrating locally stored data. For example, if we are talking about Exchange migration project, we are using some tools for example, PST migration. PST is a locally stored copy of some old, it's a locally stored archive of old emails. So we have to cover also those archives. And as I said, we are using some tools for that migration. So we can help you with that, with the migration of locally stored emails. And also we are covering the migration of locally stored documents. We can help you to define the structure of document libraries and help you to migrate the content from local to like team workspace. And what about migrating the settings itself? For example, OneDrive can be used as a solution, so you can also synchronize not just your documents, but also your user profile. So it means if you will use OneDrive for synchronizing your profile, you can change your device in a very simple way. It's just about logging in and synchronizing with your existing account, with your domain credentials, and everything will be synchronized for you on the background, including your settings and everything. So maybe that better answer your question. But yes, we can help you with migration of your devices and users.
Great, thank you.
Any other questions? And by the way, back to the SharePoint, you can also run it in a hybrid way. So you can use some benefits and advantages of SharePoint Online with combination of local SharePoint. So you can interconnect those two environments and basically to use a single way for indexing and searching for information across the whole environment, online and on-prem. It's possible. Okay, we have still a few minutes left.
Yeah, if there are maybe some new question or request or concern or lovely thinking.
Yeah, this is the best slide. Thank you. Thanks to all of you for your attention today.
Yeah, once again, in the front of whole team, thanks a lot once again for your participation. We will be at your disposal for any future question, topics you would like to discuss. Our whole team is at your disposal. So we will be in some way in a touch. And thanks a lot once again. Have a nice day, and I hope we will have opportunity to speak further.
Thank you.
We
Hvala.
will be looking forward
Thank
to
you.
that.
Hvala.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Blagodaria.
Blagodaria.
Bye.
Bye bye.